Sandile Shezi recently put out a press release in the form of a video, and I made myself some nice hot chocolate, and I'd advise you guys to do the same because we are going to do a live react to it together. Afterwards though, I will drop in for some commentary. Before we get into today's content, please do check out the links in my description. Firstly, we'll find a link for Rolio Jack's YouTube channel, and there you will be able to learn how to analyze the markets, read the COT report, and also incorporate fundamental analysis into your trading, all for free. Secondly, you will also find the link of the FSCA regulated broker QuasiTrade. QuasiTrade is local, and I will be doing more content with them into the future, so do keep your eyes out for future videos. This is for all of us to consume, and this is to address the recent allegations made by Julia Madibogo. I found a copy of that article. We will get into that very shortly, but let's take a live reaction to this. You guys know Sandile Shezi has been in the news a lot recently, and this is the first time we are seeing him address things in this manner. So I'm gonna press play now, and I'll drop in with my commentary afterwards. Don't miss out on that.
Good afternoon. I trust everybody is well. I believe we're live on different platforms, so I just want to greet everyone on all the different platforms. So it's going to be very short and brief, straight to the point. I think some of us might have seen the article on Sunday World. It was very important that I address this, that I deal with some of the content in that article. I'm not someone who normally responds to these kind of gossips and false, unethical journalism. But I felt it was important. I think I've got some sort of a responsibility to those of you who've been following my journey throughout the years. And I think when you read something like that, as much as it left a very bitter taste in my mouth, I think it probably had the same, if not similar, effect on you. And you probably were left with a lot of questions, asking yourself, Sandile, what's going on? This is what we're reading. It seems to be very far from the Sandile we know. Has something gone wrong? So let's get straight to the point. There's an article, Sunday World, that was published on the 7th of June 2013 by Julia Madibogo.
It's 2 days ago.
I think it's very important that I also state the fact that if you've gone through some of the articles that have been published over the past couple of months, every single one of these articles has been published by the same journalist. From day one, it's the same journalist publishing pretty much the same story, twisting the truth, making up some of these stories. Hence why I find myself sitting at home, getting calls, people saying, Sandile, you are wanted. And I'm like, but who? Who wants me? Who's looking for me? I call the Hawks. Is there something happening? Should I be concerned? So there's been a number of different articles that have been published by the same journalists, and I think it's very important that some of you begin to ask yourself, why do all the other journalists not publish the story? Is it not newsworthy? Is this a personal attack? What is the outcome? What is it that these people are trying to actually achieve?
So for clarity, the article that he's talking about is the article that has been posted 2 days ago, the 7th of June 2023, by Julia Madibogo, and he's asking if other people haven't posted the same thing, right? And obviously that also makes sense because news reporters, when one has a story, the other one usually, like, they work in close connection with each other. But let's continue the video, like I said, and I will drop in at the end with my commentary. We will also take a look at that article, no? I found that article, like I said, so stick up until the end.
Achieve through this narrative that they're trying to create. And I think for me, the article that came out yesterday, 7th of June, was the final straw. It is very important that going forward that I actually address these matters. Those of you might have not seen the article at Sunday World. It says Sandile was shopping up a storm. Sandile was shopping up the storm at A2 in Hyde Park. I think number one, if you are smart enough, you'll actually realize that according to this article, I arrived in a Mercedes-Benz, a Porsche Mercedes-Benz to be exact. Firstly, that's not true. If it is true, can those pictures or images of me arriving in that vehicle be released immediately? If you go and look at the image that was actually used on that article, that was taken from my Instagram. And apparently, there's videos of me shopping up a storm at Hyde Park. There's pictures of me shopping up a storm in Hyde Park. Yet, I'm using these victims' money, apparently. The question is, why were those images not published? If there are images of me walking into A2, walking out with bags at A2, where are those images? Where are those videos? Secondly, it is said that I was actually wearing a Vugani Ma Africa t-shirt, which is not true. The car that I arrived in is not true. Number two, the t-shirt I was wearing is not true. Number three, the store that I was shopping in is absolutely not true. And I think for me, what's important right now is to just put this on record that it is about time that we actually address, shop at a different store, or personally that I actually take the necessary steps in addressing this lady, because it does seem that there is some personal mission that she's on. I don't believe this is journalism. I respect the work of journalists. I think it's very important that any story that is newsworthy is published. I respect the work that they do, but what I will not stand for is unethical journalism, where it does seem and appear as though there's a somebody actually, I don't know, maybe somebody sponsoring this campaign, maybe somebody has some sort of a score that they want to settle through this. However, I think they made a horrible blunder with this article, because none of the facts that are there are true. You can go to A2 store right now in Hyde Park, ask them for footage for the entire week. Forget about Tuesday that they're talking about. Go and ask for footage for the entire week, and you will begin to realize that this is a very unethical, evil individual who has some sort of an objective of tarnishing my image, publishing, because unfortunately in South Africa, anything that's in the newspapers, people believe it is factual. None of this has been verified. None of this is true. None of this is even close to the truth. Let me actually put this on record. Because somebody might say, but Sandile, maybe they got the date wrong. Maybe you didn't shop on Tuesday. Maybe you were shopping on Wednesday. Maybe it's 90% true. It is 100% untrue. I have not shopped in A2 even in the past 2-3 years. So this for me is a personal attack. This is an attack on my character. This is to create or further perpetuate the agenda that this woman, Julia Madiboho, is on. I don't know whether there's some sort of incentive that she's receiving from actually pushing this narrative and pushing these articles. However, we are not just going to address it in front of you guys, but we are also going to take this up with the press council. My team actually did contact Julia prior to this press briefing. We did invite her to this room, and the reason why is I wanted her to actually ask me about some of these things, verify some of these things, because it does appear to me that for her, anybody can walk into her office, these sources that I don't know of, say whatever they want to say to her, and she publishes it as is without contacting me, without verifying with me, A2, if somebody approached her and said Sandile was shopping up a storm at A2, the least she could do is pick up the phone, contact A2, the store, and say, was Sandile there? How much did he spend at A2? And actually be able to verify whether what she was told by whoever told her is true. But for me, if a journalist can just hear gossip from whoever or a made-up story by whoever and publish it, that is very unethical journalism, which is why we're going to lay a formal complaint, and we are going to get to the bottom of what is it that this woman wants from me, what is it that she's trying to achieve, because even the last press conference that I did, and this is, mind you, after an article was written that I am on the run, I'm in the Middle East. Meanwhile, that time I was sitting in Sandton having a meeting, and I get told, or I read and find out in the media that apparently I'm in the Middle East, once again, unethical journalism, irresponsible publishing, irresponsible practice, because the least you could have done is actually verify this. And that's why I called a press conference straight after that article came out, to allow them, give the journalists an opportunity to ask me the necessary questions, give you the responses that you need. It's not every day we address these matters, and that is why I created a platform for a dialogue to take place and for me to be able to actually provide the necessary answers. She did not come. She did not come, which for me once again proved that the objective is not to tell the story as is. The objective and the mission that she's on, this woman, is not to actually publish news and give the public information that they deserve, but it is to create some sort of a narrative and whatever image that she's trying to create, or tarnishing my name at whatever cost. And mind you, once again, that's another perfect example of an article that was published which was far from the truth, because the time it was released, I was sitting in Sandile, and apparently I was on the run. And this whole nonsense, I mean, if you go through that article, I handed myself over in Sandile. Once again, I was not in Sandile. I did not handle myself over in Sandile. There's so much of this that is incorrect. However, I'd like to just put it on record that we are going to take this up with my legal team. We are going to ensure that we lay a formal complaint. I think we've had enough of this irresponsible reporting. I don't even know how the editors approve for such rubbish to be published, and for the media to consume such. I mean, this is the kind of nonsense you put up on your Facebook, as a hater, or in fact, for me, even somebody putting this up on their own personal profile would be very unfortunate. I would expect somebody to use a fake account to publish such nonsense, because honestly, even I mean, look at this. It says
Facebook.
In fact, go read the article yourself. Go read the article yourself. Spelling errors on this article, a whole lot of nonsense, contradicting herself, saying that I'm due in court in July, and then at the end of the article, I'm due in court on June. A whole lot of confusion, which tells you this is somebody who did not even afford me an opportunity to actually respond. My phone was not called. She's got my number. There's no email that was sent to me. And you can tell this thing was smacked together last minute just so they could push it out and achieve whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. So for those of you who have been following my journey, I think I at least owe you that explanation and response to say, going forward, there will be none of this nonsense of me just allowing these articles to fly. I will be responding wherever an untrue article is published about me, such as this rubbish that I'm currently reading. I will not just sit in front of the camera in front of you guys and respond and allow you to ask me questions, but I'll also be taking it up with the press council, because I think it's important that as much as we are held accountable as entrepreneurs, as citizens of South Africa, I think journalists need to be held accountable as well. We cannot allow this irresponsible reporting to continue unattended. Thank you.
Okay, so as you guys have heard, there's Sandile Shezi said a mouthful, but you guys must know me. I have a very peculiar ear. I hear everything he was saying. And when it comes to the Middle Eastern article, his defense was that he was in Sandile. But then later on in this exact same video, he says that he was not in Sandile. He didn't hand himself over in Sandile. Just take a look here.
That I am on the run. I'm in the Middle East. Meanwhile, that time I was sitting in Sandile having a meeting. And mind you, once again, that's another perfect example of an article that was published which was far from the truth. Because the time it was released, I was sitting in Sandile, and apparently I was on the run. And this whole nonsense, I mean, if you go through that article, I handed myself over in Sandile. Once again, I was not in Sandile. I did not handle myself over in Sandile. Once again, I was not in Sandile. I did not handle myself over in Sandile. That I am on the run. I'm in the Middle East. Meanwhile, that time I was sitting in Sandile having a meeting.
Now, isn't that contradictory? There's a whole lot of other contradictory stuff that I also noticed in this video of his, like his deliberate attempt to brandish the car as Porsche Mercedes. So we have the article and we are gonna see if that is what they say there, because I don't think anyone on this earth can misbrand a Porsche or a Mercedes like that. One thing that I do appreciate though is him challenging them to give either footage or photos of him being there and actually having the detailed description of him wearing a Vulcanium Africa merch. That is really, if you don't have pictures for that, don't say that, because now people are gonna look for the picture where he is wearing the Vulcanium Africa merch inside this place where you guys said he was. Now we have the article and we are gonna go read through that article now, because I am keen to see what this guy is speaking about. So as you guys can see, we have this article here in front of us. Celebrity news, Sunday World, fraud accused Sandile Shezi seen shopping up a storm. There isn't even any alleged in there, you know. Presidential hopeful Sandile Shezi is due back in court for June for the start of his fraud trial. He did mention that. Presidential hopeful and fraud accused Sandile Shezi was spotted shopping up a storm in Hyde Park on Tuesday amid a pending 1.2 million rand forex scam case. Again, here was supposed to be Sandile Shezi was allegedly spotted shopping, if there's no evidence to prove that. Shezi, who is out on 20,000 rand bail, is expected at the Wynberg Magistrates Court on July 7th for allegedly defrauding victims, including a retired school principal, of monies through his forex trading company, GFI. Now, obviously, here's the contradiction that Sandile Shezi is talking about, because here says presidential hopeful Sandile Shezi is due back in court in June for the start of his fraud trial, and then here it says he is expected at the Wynberg Magistrates Court on July 7th. So that is a little bit dear Maka, but I'm looking to see the part about the car, man. A bystander said Shezi appeared in good spirits as he was driving a posh Mercedes-Benz. Okay, so I see the mix-up there, but that is a deliberate attempt there, because there is a whole R, C, and E missing, and someone as Sandile Shezi that knows luxury brands, I'm expecting him to know how Porsche is spelt. That is posh, and posh is, you can say, kind of like a slang word for like upper class, you know. So I see there, but also just to correctify him, yeah, he talks about the A2 shopping center, and it's not the small boy shop. Yay. So there that Julia talks again about the principal that is being that has been defrauded, and obviously we're gonna see that, we're gonna watch that. I really want to see what's happening there, because Sunday World wasn't the only publication that reported on this principal and this 1.2 million rand fraud case. So as time goes forth, I am really keen to see if Sandile says he's going to be taking the action that he says he's going to be taking against Julia Madibogo. And then also, I really want to see how far this case between him and the school principal is going to go. Because, check, he didn't deny that. He denied this article for the 7th of June. I just need you guys to be clear on that. He denied this article. He didn't deny everything. Okay, there was some stuff before that he denied, but he also wasn't specific on how, when, and where. You understand? So that is why I'm saying there's a whole lot of truths that's being omitted from the public. Go research what omitted means. And then also, with us getting the proceedings as it go forth, we are able to zone in on the truth as it comes out. Sandile Shezi is clearly leaving the ball in their court by asking for video and picture footage of him being there. And me, I would also want some footage of me being somewhere if someone claimed that I was at a certain place at a certain time wearing certain merch. I'm keen to see how this all is going to turn out. Thank you so much for joining today, guys.